Alrighty, everybody. We'll go ahead and get started here. It is 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I hope everybody had a great holiday break. I wanted to go ahead and start off by welcoming everybody into this webinar hosted by us here at Hawks. My name is Brett. I'm a training and support representative, and I will be taking you through the more of a security-based webinar today for our web tests that we have offered. Obviously, in today's world, especially this past semester, virtual learning has become more of a staple, for obvious reasons. So obviously, taking tests securely, and you as the instructors always want to make sure that everything is pretty straightforward and there's no chances of any kind of cheating or any external resources being used. So there are a couple of things that I want to go ahead and point out to our instructors here today, just to kind of help you guys with increased test security going forward, especially for this upcoming semester and semesters on. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and just we're going to wait until the end for questions. So if you have any kind of questions or comments or anything like that, we'll go ahead and take them at the end. So as you guys can see now, I have shared my screen. I am actually in a Hawks demo gradebook just to kind of show you guys how how these little testing security techniques work and how you can enable them. So for example, let's go ahead and dive right into a test. I want to go ahead and show you a couple of different things. Whenever you have a test and that you've assigned it to your class, the next thing to do is that we want to go ahead and go into that test's general settings. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys kind of how going into the general settings can also help you with your test security. So I'm going to go ahead and go into this random chapter 6 test that we have assigned. And if I go into general settings, there are a couple of things here that will help with test security going forward. Obviously, the start date and end date, these dates right here are kind of the first step with security of the test that you would be giving. The start date would be any date that you would, think about opening the test up for all of your students. And then you can also do it at a specific time. And then the end date is when the test would be essentially shut down or completed. Once the start date starts, that means the test would be available for your students. And then once that end date hits, right after the end date, that means the test would be closed. So the students can't access the test before or after the start and end date, which would be specified by you as the instructor. Another thing that we have that is also very good for security purposes is we have this ability to do a password. So for example, so let's just say we put, we're going to start this here on the 8th and it's going to be in the 9th. So as soon as January 8th hits, at 12 a.m., the test would be open. And then as soon as January 9th hits at 11:59, so tomorrow night, that test would be closed. So another way that we can go ahead and add an extra layer of security would be essentially enabling a password. And essentially what you can do here is you can put a password in here. We can put Hawks345. And then now what that will do is that will prompt the student before they actually get into their test, they would have to enter in this password. So you as the instructor can actually keep that password to yourself until the day of the test. And you can give that out to your students so that way you know that they will not be able to access that test until you give them that password. So that is something that helps increase the security of your tests, and it is definitely available for you as the instructors to use for any kind of quiz or test that you decide to assign. So I'm going to go ahead and save changes right here just to kind of show you guys kind of how that works. I want to go ahead and go back though really quick. I do want to go ahead and show you guys another option that we have, another resource essentially that we have for security of your testing. If we go into the additional options of that specific test, you guys will be able to see here that we do have the ability to require respondus lockdown browser. And now this is something that's really good for professors to use, because this essentially prevents students from printing or copying or accessing other websites and applications while they're taking their exam. So essentially, if you would require the respondus lockdown browser, that would not allow them to access anything during their test. And to be honest, the respondus lockdown browser, they do have a specific specifications that need to be met in order to have the respondus lockdown browser. It cannot be taken on a tablet or most recently a Google Chromebook. But if you have a regular laptop or a desktop, a Mac or anything like that, with the make sure just the laptop is up to date, the computer's up to date, ready to go. You should be able to guide your students into downloading the latest version of the respondus lockdown browser right before they take their test. It is a pretty simple process. They will see two buttons essentially. If you enable the require, or if you require the respondus lockdown browser, there will be two buttons right before they go into their test. It's going to say check my browser, and then it's going to have a blue button that says launch lockdown browser. The only thing that you would have to instruct your students to do is to have them check their browser first. What respondus would then do would be to check to make sure that their computer is able to run their lockdown browser, and then it will download the latest version for them on their computer. And it's a pretty quick process. They'll give you the link. All you have to do is have your students download it. Once it's completed the download, they can actually go back to that blue launch lockdown browser button, and they would essentially click on that button, and then that would take them into their lockdown browser. That would essentially take out all of the other tabs that they have. It would just open up their Hawks test in the lockdown browser. And then from there, they would have so much time to complete that specific test in the lockdown browser. We also do offer, in conjunction with the lockdown browser, we have the ability to partner with proctoring services. This can drastically increase security. These services allow instructors to monitor student screens, ensuring that they remain on task and they don't access forbidden resources during the test. So several proctoring solutions can be utilized in conjunction with our web tests. And if you want to learn more, I know we do Respondus Monitor and Proctorio. Those things, specific proctoring services, work directly with your school's learning management system. So if you are interested in doing kind of that extra step of proctoring, we can go ahead and give you that necessary information. Other than that, there is a ability to put time limits on the test, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of jump right back into the general settings. You guys may have seen this earlier, but I just wanted to go ahead and touch base on it real quick. If you go into the general settings, you do have the ability to set a test length. So essentially, once that student starts that test, they're only going to have 60 minutes, 90 minutes, whatever the designated time is, to complete that test. Once that time limit has been reached, then they would have to submit their assignment, and then that's when the test would end. So that's essentially another way to kind of keep your tests kind of right in front of you as the instructor, to make sure that you limit any kind of possibilities of cheating or external resources being used for your class. And then there was one more thing that I wanted to go ahead and bring up to you guys. And you guys may have already known this if you guys have already kind of gone through using the web tests, but I want to go ahead and kind of show you guys how this would work when you're setting up a test. We do have a couple of options while setting up the test that will allow you to kind of make sure that your students don't have any kind of possibility of collaborating with each other. So I'm going to go ahead and go into this sample delete test. It is not assigned, so I actually can go ahead and edit this. I wanted to go ahead and show you guys these two specific tools that we have here. So that way you guys can make sure there's no collaboration with what's going on here. So as you can see over here onto the right, this is our Hawks test right here that has already been pre-created. There are a couple of things here that would also help you with test security that I wanted to point out as well. You can see here, there is a lock order button. So every single test that you create by default will have a random order of the generated essentially of the questions that you have selected from specific lessons or chapters. And essentially what that means is that they're going to get the same type of question, the same objective, but it's not going to be in the same order for all of your students. All your students will have a different order of the test, and they will have different versions of that question. So we do have a lock order and a lock value button. Now, like I said, by default, these are not locked. So if you create a test right now and you go into it, you can expect your tests to be randomly generated in terms of the order of the objective questions and the value in that objective. So chances are with over 50 iterations of each question on average for every lesson that we offer in our Hawks products, we do have a very, very wide variety of questions and orders that get generated whenever your test is created. So there is a very, 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 very small chance that your students would have even the same question essentially on that test. So the locking the order and the value, that would be specifically for you guys. If you wanted to lock the order, if you wanted to have the same order of the objectives, sorry, and each question, then you're more than welcome to do that. And then you can also lock the values as well. So if you wanted all your students to have the same value for one particular question, you're more than welcome to do that as well. But like I said, these come as default randomized. So that is also something that I wanted to go ahead and mention for our test security. That's kind of what we wanted, our goal was. We wanted to make sure that there was not really too many things that could give the students that extra, like, thought of possibly working together with each other. So other than that, that is pretty much our basic little webinar about our web security. I know I said at the beginning that we would take questions at the end. So does anybody have any kind of questions or concerns before I let you guys go here? And then of course, if you guys ever have any questions when you're going through creating your web tests or anything like that, you guys can always reach out to us. You can give us a call. You can send us an email at support@hawkslearning.com for any kind of technical needs. If you need a training need, you can always email training@hawkslearning.com. And then of course you can always use our 24/7 chat service and your training representative as well. So we do have a couple of different resources for you that is available. And if you guys ever have any questions going through the test building or any kind of security related questions that you think of, please don't hesitate to send them our way, okay? And I'll go ahead and just leave the floor open for a couple of minutes if you guys have any kind of questions or anything like that. But that's pretty much the test security that we have on our end, that we wanted to kind of show our instructors just to make sure that they know that they can use that whenever they would like.